Like always, today's episode is brought to you by our amazing sponsors, gluten-free diet water, premium junk clothing, Williamson wines, and Good Dudes coffee. Gluten-free diet water. Stay hydrated with a refreshing twist, perfect for those health-conscious listeners. Premium junk clothing, for those who love to express their unique style with high-quality fashion pieces. Visit premiumjunkclothing.com and use code EverydayGSD15 at checkout. Williamson Wine, natural artesian wine from Napa and Sonoma. And last but not least, Good Dudes Coffee, veteran-owned by former Navy SEAL Josh Bridges, and where every cup is brewed with passion and dedication to quality. Visit their website at gooddudescoffee.com and use discount code EverydayGSD10 for an exclusive offer. Thanks to our sponsors for supporting the show, and now let's dive into today's episode.
Welcome to the Everyday GSD podcast. Today's special guest who flew in all the way from lovely state of Vermont, Danielle, Nicole, Enright. How are you, darling?
Hi.
I'm
great.
so excited to have you on the show. I'm just going to do a little bio on you for our guests who don't know you. And if they're not on social media, that'd be the only reason they don't know you, because I feel like everyone on social media does know you. You're a business owner since 2011. You founded and you're the lead designer of a female empowerment brand, Bibeau.
Correct.
Wanted to make sure I pronounced
Said
that
it
right.
right.
And we're gonna talk about how that creative name came about. Your jewelry's been placed in Academy Award gift bags, which I think is super cool. So I definitely want to talk about that. You're worn on celebrities and models. You've appeared in magazines like Elle, and I say this wrong every time, but I'll give it a shot. Condé Nast Traveler.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Great.
I'm getting it. And you were on a bunch of popular TV shows, but I'm going to let you talk about those, but I'll just name a couple. Maybe people have heard of Law and Order, SUV, SEAL Team, Young and Restless, but we'll go a little deeper into that.
Yeah.
And most recently, you've been on a Netflix series that we'll let you talk about. Your jewelry has. You donate a portion of your proceeds of jewelry to many local Vermont companies, nonprofits, as well as national nonprofits, which that's awesome because that's always close to all of our hearts when we can give back.
Yes.
And I'm excited to say you're a soon-to-be published author. You're currently a blogger, and you do some business consulting, social media creator, model, interior designer. I mean, is there anything you don't do?
Math.
Okay.
I just like math.
And you're married, and your husband is in the
Correct.
studio. We'll probably
Yeah.
say hi to him a little later. Thank you for making the trip and being her bodyguard, because I know everyone wants to probably take pictures of her all over where you guys are staying. And you have 3 amazing children.
I do.
So let's get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome.
I'm really excited.
And we have a little history, and we might get into that in the show. I've known
Okay.
you. I've known you since God, you were a young person, and so was I. And then we haven't seen each other in many, many years. I don't want to say how many because that'll date both of us.
Yeah, don't.
Yeah. Actually, if I said how many, everyone would think you were probably like 0 years old when I met you. So I don't think that's going to be possible. But let's talk about first of all, how did you get into the jewelry business? And then we're gonna back up, because I know you've had some tough. You've had a tough journey, and because of that journey, you've evolved into a powerful woman who wants to empower more women and young children to make sure that their voice is heard and they do what is always right.
Correct. That is perfectly said.
Awesome.
That's exactly my mission.
Show's over.
It's done.
Right, Justin? Just like that.
It's over.
Okay.
I started out actually in a really difficult time of my life. I had worked really hard to overcome other obstacles, went to college and ended up studying legal studies.
Yeah, you worked at a law firm for a while,
I did.
right?
I worked at the United States Attorney's Office, which is the actual best you can do in Vermont, and thought I was going to retire there, wanted to become an attorney. And so I was a legal aid and worked there for 5 years. Something very traumatic happened there, and I ended up losing my job seemingly overnight. It was so traumatic, and I was left essentially with nothing. I had a child. I was a single mom, and the thing that happened that was so pivotal was I went into a grocery store and tried to buy groceries. My card declined, and this woman came up, and I was about to run out of the store because I was humiliated. And this woman said, I'm going to buy your groceries, but I want you to pay it forward. And that right there literally changed my entire life. That one person, stranger, I call her my angel, don't even know who she is.
That was going to be my next question. Have you ever?
I talk about her so much because she's so important in my life, and I've almost become her or wanted to become her for other people.
Right.
That's my message. That's my journey. I think that's why I was put on this earth, is just to continue that path, because I've never, all the interviews I've done, I talk about her, but I've never found her. She's never reached out and said, I was that woman that paid for your, nobody's ever come forward. So I will continue talking about it. But she ended up paying for my groceries. And at that point in my life, I literally was selling off things, selling off all belongings because I had nothing. I was on, food stamps, literally nothing, like trying to survive with a child.
Would you say, for lack of a better word, at the lowest of your lows?
Lowest of lows.
Okay.
For sure. And was actually really on the brink of just wanting to quit everything. Just not wanting to live this life. It was everything leading up to that was also traumatic. So this felt very defeating. I had worked so hard for something, the legal studies and wanting to be an attorney, thought I got there, and boom, once again, gone.
Right.
Just like that. And it's like, that happens so much in life. But then all of a sudden that woman swoops in, and I'm thinking, I held on to that. And I said, there has to be a meaning, like beyond me. And I hung on to that. Well, I started selling off things. I started an eBay page, and I just went with what I knew. And at that point it was clothing.
Were you making clothes?
No, I just knew clothes.
I was like, are you a knitter?
I was a shopaholic. I worked at a law firm. I was making tons of money, and I was a shopaholic. I would shop. And if there was one thing I knew, it was brands, it was clothing. And so my eBay page was all about selling off clothing.
Right.
I knew what they were worth. I knew how much they cost. And then when I sold out of all my belongings of clothing, I said, well, what else can I sell? And I ended up making a bracelet. My bracelet is sold within like 2 minutes.
And this is still on eBay?
Correct.
So you haven't really created a business with it yet.
It was just kind of trying to get by.
Right.
And then my first...
Doing the necessity.
Correct.
Right. Everyday GSDing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just trying to do something every day.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I ended up selling that bracelet within minutes. And I thought to myself, I think I have something. And it was something I made with my hands, and it brought me so much pride.
Right.
And I almost became addicted to that feeling, that adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
Of feeling like somebody wants something I made with my own 2 hands. This is amazing.
Right.
It almost felt illegal because I was like, how is this possible? Like I made this, and it only took me, 30 minutes, and I loved every minute of it. And I felt like those minutes of making jewelry was meditative and healing.
Right.
And that was very important. Like the feeling I got from making jewelry was as important as the sales, because that alone was so healing from everything that had happened previously. So it was like a win-win. I was like, wow, I'm making money and I'm doing something I absolutely love. So that's how it all started.
And that's how the jewelry business started.
Correct.
But let's back it up when you were younger.
Mm-hmm.
So you had some tragedy growing up.
Yeah.
When you were a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Sure.
We don't have to get in too much details because we don't need to have you go down too much of a memory lane because I know it's uncomfortable. But if you want to just share a little bit of that, because I feel like from talking to you previously to the show, coming on the show, I feel like that's a big part of your life where you're like, you're not going to be a forever victim.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. You're hitting it on the head, because I felt like, so much of my life, I felt like a victim.
Right.
And even right up into the legal aspect, I'm not going to touch on how I lost my job. It was,
no problem.
I'm writing a book about it because it was it was beyond belief, quite frankly.
Right.
But it felt like it all connected to that first time that I was a victim.
Right.
And so when I was in high school, I was not only sexually harassed, but like, touched by a teacher.
Physically
Correct.
harassed, mentally harassed.
He called my house. He would try to masturbate with me over the phone. I
Oh,
was 15.
classy guy. Teacher.
Classy guy. This was a teacher.
Yeah.
And he was literally stalking me to the point where I couldn't get away from him.
Right.
And the worst part, I think, of all of it was that I told people. I told the principal. I told all of my teachers.
Not the worst part that you told me. The worst part, you told me they did nothing about it.
Correct.
Right.
That was almost worse than the actual assault, because I felt like I didn't matter. And I think when that happens to especially a young child who deserves to be protected,
100%,
you feel like there must be something wrong with me that people don't want to protect me.
Right.
I must be unlovable. So
Right.
that became my identity, and it carried through every relationship. And I didn't even realize it. I was so young. And
Right.
I didn't realize how much of that would impact my future, everything, future
Right.
jobs, future relationships. And it did. And until that pivotal moment of
Right.
losing everything and almost wanting to give up,
Right.
that I ended up putting it all together. I
Yeah.
went to therapy, and I went to art therapy, which helped a great deal. And they started connecting those dots. And I thought, wow, it makes sense.
Yeah, and it's awful when you say this, but like, it's, and I have to really use my words correctly because I don't want to say this wrong. It's like almost like it's a good thing that happened to you because of where you are today, and you're
Absolutely.
changing the lives of others,
Absolutely.
so it doesn't happen to them.
Correct. It's so at this point, and so many people, it's so cliche. Everybody says it. I wouldn't change it because look at where I am now, but I honestly wouldn't change any of it.
Right.
I feel like I am so much stronger. It humbled me. Everything about my past has humbled me to the point where I just, I've been in the depths. Like I've been so down, and now I see people for their core human and not physical anything. And before, when I remember being at the U.S. Attorney's office and thinking, I just had a chip on my shoulder, as did everybody who worked there. We felt like we were on top of the world, and we were, working for the government, and they would fly us here, there, and everywhere. And it was, a bougie type job. And I felt like I'm just going to retire here and do not much of anything. We really didn't do much. And we would have federal Fridays and go drinking on Fridays. It was perfect.
Yeah.
But
everyone for the federal government right now is like, she just told on us.
So sorry. Sorry, no.
Yeah, no, sorry, not.
not really sorry.
So I got to jump ahead, and then we're going to keep jumping back because I think it's important that people understand. You went and got therapy,
Correct.
which brought what happened to you to a light where you could put the puzzle together with proper therapy, and then you could kind of trace things back and say, okay, now this is why I think this way or I feel this way, and I'm going to now take this therapy that I've been given, that I've chosen to do, and I'm going to turn this around and change the way I'm running my life.
Yeah,
right.
It's
powerful.
It's so powerful.
Yeah.
It makes it be. It's so many times when I speak to girls now on Instagram, and they're wondering, a lot of them were kind of in the situation that I was in.
Right.
And so now I have that experience that I can share with them and say, look, this is where I was. It wasn't easy for me to succeed.
Right.
I wasn't this overnight success.
Right.
I had to literally walk the walk
Yeah.
and go through the worst of the worst.
Right. And here we are on this podcast. And
Right.
again, you and your awesome husband flew here to come on the show.
Yeah.
And you were on the cover of Red Silk magazine, and you were termed today's Renaissance woman, right?
Yeah.
Like how cool is that if you really
So cool.
if you really think about that? Because and I don't know if I want to say how many years, but several years ago, you would have never thought that, right? Whether that's a couple years ago or a few more than that, but at some point, all of those things started changing, and you were like, I'm not a fucking victim.
You're going to make me cry because no, literally, because my life has been so up and down that it's been hard to even articulate how hard it has really been for me.
Right.
To the point where like I said, I mean, I've been on the brink where I've been like on the edge of a cliff.
Right.
And
well, then let's talk about the positive things.
Yeah.
Then. So you don't cry, and unless you
Okay.
want to cry, we can all cry, and we've done it before.
Okay.
This is known as a cry tank sometimes,
Oh, okay.
right, Justin? Yeah. Justin's over there wiping his eyes already because he's already getting ready to cry. No, I'm just kidding. So you start this jewelry company. Okay. So tell me about that. And I love the name because you gave me a little history on it, but for my audience, share the proper pronunciation and the spelling because I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, Abreu is Abrau, and the crazy thing about that was my son, during our time of just being together, not having a lot of money, he would call me Abreu all of a sudden, just randomly, Abreu. And when I was coming up with, after I'd sold those eBay bracelets and things, and I was like, I'm going to start a store. What should I name it? And it just kind of popped in my head, Abreu, because that's what my son calls me.
And how old was he about when he was calling you this?
About 5.
Do you think, and I'm going to just ask this because like I used to say words when I was a little kid and I wasn't pronouncing them probably. Do you think he was trying to say like a brave you? Like you're brave, like mom's brave?
Gosh,
I wonder.
I don't know because I've asked him to this day, and
he doesn't know.
No, he doesn't
like
know.
I couldn't say.
Remember.
I couldn't say restaurant when I was a kid. It was like retrant.
It's quite possible that it had nothing to do with this like other thought, but I'm heavy on the symbolism in my life.
I love it.
So everything I feel it connects, and to me, it was just another sign because that's how I kind of live, and
because you're spiritual.
I'm very spiritual.
Yeah.
So I only became more spiritual over all my hardships because I saw the connection and it was ever since the lady paid it forward to me.
Yeah.
And how powerful that was. That one person's total stranger. And this is the power of being kind.
Right.
To a stranger.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the power that she has changed, literally transformed my entire life because in the back of my head, ever since then, it has always been about paying it forward back to her, making her proud of me.
Yeah.
And
that's awesome.
Yeah. And it's like, wow, if I could do that for somebody else. And that's always been my mission.
Yeah.
But
which is a pretty good mission.
It's an awesome mission. If you could change one person, and then they will go on to change other people.
So we say this on the show all the time. We had an episode, the episode was with Gary, and he said, if everyone helped one person, the world would be so much better. And when you say that, it sounds so simple, but if you really think about it, like if I helped you, you helped him, and he helped him, we just helped everyone in this room just by starting with one person helping it. But when you say that to people, like, oh, I help people, it's like, do you?
Yeah.
Like, but if everyone really just helped one person, so I really appreciate you bringing that up because in the everyday GSD lifestyle, the mentality that we have, it's about getting shit done. Obviously, that's why we're here, because you are a powerful woman who gets shit done, but you didn't forget where you came from, and most importantly, you want other women to be standing next to you, not below you.
Absolutely. That's another huge part of my mission.
Yeah.
I feel like we rise by lifting others, that whole, and it's absolutely true. And I know that I wouldn't be where I am unless I had all these people helping me, and I want to be that person for somebody else. And so many businesses, there's so many big money businesses that don't think of the people first. They think of profit. And I feel like I've done a little bit more of like profit over, or people over profit.
People over profit.
Yeah. And
because if you help people over profit, profit comes.
Yeah, it just does.
Yeah, it does.
And it's amazing. And that's the whole spiritual aspect is that we're going to give and it will come back threefold. Yeah. And it does.
It really does.
And that is the whole, like, there's something greater type thing that I feel like I'm drawn or called to do. Yeah. And that's the deeper thing is I feel like I was called to do what I'm doing.
So I know you were just on this magazine.
Yeah.
But I want to go back to you're making jewelry, and was the Academy? How does your jewelry end up from you're selling one bracelet in after 30 minutes of putting love into it, and you feel so good about it, to now all of a sudden you've got jewelry in Academy Award bags?
I don't know, because it feels like I just blinked and it just all happened, but really it was a lot of hard work.
Of course, yeah.
GSD, you know, literally I was every day grinding, trying to say I have something here, and I'm standing behind it. And I saw another jeweler on Etsy who said that they had their jewelry placed on a TV show, and I thought, well, I want to do that. How did they do that? So I just researched and found out how they did it, and did the same thing, and kind of, learned over time. And I joined this group called the Artisan Group, which I love them. I'm still a member to this
And what is
day.
it called?
It's called the Artisan Group.
Okay.
It's a juried group of women, and she has a lot of LA Hollywood contacts from like the Academy Awards, actresses. Like I've sent my jewelry to Kelly Clarkson, Jennifer Garner, all kinds of A-listers.
Yeah.
And so I've gotten my jewelry in their hands because of Valerie. So.
And is there a website artists can go to work with her?
Absolutely. It's called theartisangroup.org. And
we'll make sure that gets put
on. She's been in business
and all that good stuff.
She's been in business for 13 years, and this is a very close-knit group of women, and a lot of us are just stay-at-home moms, and we're able to get our jewelry.
I love that you call yourself a stay-at-home mom.
Oh, I know.
No, I mean it's true.
But I am.
It's true. You're not lying. You're a stay-at-home mom, but you have a business, and you actually are in business with your husband too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys have a I'll call it a service type business, service company, right? And if we want, we can talk about that. But really, the show's about you right now, and I know your husband's got some great stories.
I'd love to plug him though.
Yeah. Oh, we can do it right now.
I do own that business too.
Yeah. Well. Oh, yeah. So it's called
Premier Power Washing,
and it's in Burlington, Vermont, greater area.
All of Vermont.
Essentially, yeah. And when you say power washing, for those who don't know what that is, what is you're doing like sidewalks, houses,
residential and commercial buildings.
Okay.
So we've done everything from St. Michael's colleges to Champlain.
Champlain College, for those of you in the Midwest who don't know that.
My alma mater,
Yeah.
So, but also...
Oh, did you go to Champlain?
I did.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I also went to Plattsburgh.
Oh.
Yeah, for a while.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Small world. Real small.
So we started that business, and
How long ago did you guys start that business? And then we're going back to jewelry.
Yeah. It was like 3-4 years ago. Maybe?
So during COVID or before beginning of COVID?
It was good question. I think 1 year before.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when it was the hardest time to have a business.
It was pretty hard. Yeah. And we started it, and it's taken off.
Yeah, I've heard good things about the company.
Huge, just 5-star. He's just he's the lead power washer, my husband. And
and he's also in the military currently, and a veteran of the United States Coast Guard. Shout out to the Coasties out there,
Correct.
Both of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Okay, so you get your jewelry on some shows. I've got a few of them here, and I'm probably gonna miss a few, but your jewelry was on Vampire Diaries.
Yeah.
The Voice, Law and Order SVU, Law and Order Organized Crime, SEAL Team, Young and Restless, Home Economics, and I mentioned earlier a Netflix show called
Sweet Magnolias.
Right.
Yes, that was my most recent placing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how cool is it when you or someone in your family is watching this show and they know the actor has a piece around their neck, or like, how does that, it's
insane. Like and Vampire Diaries was the first placement I ever had. And I still, to this day, there's a cult following because of Netflix and the way that they air their shows, and everybody can binge watch. New watchers are always coming on, and then they're buying.
Justin's shaking his head. He goes, I know.
Yeah. So the Vampire Diaries has this cult following, and a lot of young girls especially, I want what she wore.
Yeah.
And they're still, that necklace has sold so many times. And
so that was one particular necklace that people just love.
It was
I saw a picture of it.
Yeah, it was worn on. And I had the reason, when we're given these opportunities, it's not, you're guaranteed this placement. It's you produce a necklace based on this character. I equate it to, what's that show where you have to do like Project Runway?
I was going to say, Justin will know the answer. I'm not good at
Project Runway. It's very similar. You have to design something with a character in mind.
Actually, I do know the show.
Yeah.
Oddly enough.
Exactly.
Yes.
And you have to base the design on. So I was like, okay, well, I'm designing for a vampire. All right. Well, we have the ruby drop of blood, and something that is timeless. And so I really had that in mind, and it was chosen, and I was floored. It was the first placement, and I remember it. I equate it to somebody like getting like a touchdown and a game. It is so exciting, and I had such an adrenaline rush.
You're
and
like, I
just want more.
I need to be on more shows.
Need more.
So this is going to be a silly question. I know some of my audience probably wants to know this because it's a question I have or want to know. So the necklace that we're talking about, specifically this one that I actually thought it was super cool when I saw a picture of it. But now does the actor now own that?
Yeah.
Or does the show own it?
The actress kept that, but the show, I actually had to make duplicates because while they're filming, you often have to send it for their stand-ins, or if it breaks or something happens, they always want more than one.
Well, yeah, because they can't have like part of the show and then they cut it and then all of a sudden they're coming back and they're like, where's the necklace?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then for Law and Order, that was really a cool experience because first off, it was another symbolic moment. Because I'm like,
talk to me.
How cool is it that I got basically forced to resign from the U.S. Attorney's Office, and now my jewelry's on Law and Order. Like it's illegal, it was just, to me, it was all meant to be. But the girl,
right. I'm just putting that together.
I'm a little.
Wait a minute.
Law.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, that is so.
I tell you, sometimes, everybody has their reasonings for wanting to succeed. Like there's always that in the back of your mind, like, yeah, you do it for yourself, obviously, but you also want them to see.
Yeah.
Like, hi.
Yeah.
I didn't,
and you didn't
break me. You didn't break me.
Yeah. And they see.
And they see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Haters always see.
Oh, they always see. And let me tell you.
And fuck them.
Right. And because when I first started this and I was just on eBay, I literally, and this fueled my fire. And this is what I tell the girls, because a lot of the girls that are starting that I mentor say, well, how do I deal with the haters? I'm like, let them fuel that fire. Don't let them bring you down to the point where you quit. Put that spark inside you so that you want to almost prove them wrong.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say do that forever,
yeah.
but in the beginning, that was absolutely my motivation.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, when I first started the eBay business, I heard through the grapevine, one of the girls that I used to work with said, everybody's laughing at your little business. And I was like,
cute.
Oh, okay, let them laugh.
Yeah.
We'll see. What
they're just giving you kindling and gasoline for your
I'm like,
fire.
Who's laughing now?
Yeah.
So every time I'm like, okay, let's see what else I can do.
Yeah, I hope they listen to this show and they're like, yeah, that's me she's talking about. And we talked before the show about not mentioning people's names and I respect that from you because clearly you're a good soul, but man, I'd love to blast some of these people out.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, but out of respect for you, I won't. But boy, Justin, don't I want to?
There are times, let me tell you.
Yeah.
I've had too much wine and I just want to.
Yeah. You can do that, just not the whole show.
Okay. Whoops.
So what's your favorite jewelry piece besides that's been on shows?
Okay. So the one for Law and Order, this was special only because the actress herself contacted me and said, it was amazing. Again, I felt like it was a spiritual experience. She said, Danielle, I just want to say how thankful I am. So they ended up contacting me and said, we want this necklace as a series. Like she wore it through the entire.
Oh, shit. Really?
It was her necklace. It was Kathleen Stabler.
Okay.
Played by Allison Siko and Siko. And
I got it.
All right. All right. So
we are drinking wine, people.
No, yeah. I know. But I ended up sending in a necklace, and it was a pyrite, very simple, but meaningful. Pyrite is a stone that is, a lot of these stones have healing properties, and that particular stone brings about opportunity and wealth and all this, different things. And she ended up, out of all these necklaces that she had to choose from, she chose mine, and she just said she had a feeling about it. Like she just felt positive energy. And I was like, exactly.
You're like, that's what
what I'm.
Touchdown for the win.
Right. Because when you're given hundreds of options and they continually choose yours, after a while, you're like, I think I might be good at this,
Yeah.
And so it makes you feel really good about what you're doing.
And I don't know if this question is the right question, but so when they're picking out, not when they were reaching out to you directly, when you're working with your
wardrobe, like the wardrobe stylist.
Right.
Yeah.
And you send in and everyone else is sending in.
Yeah.
So that's money out of your pocket because if they don't choose it,
absolutely,
you lose it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
and it's money worth, you can write it off as a
for you it's worth
sure.
it. It's the juice is worth the squeeze.
Correct.
Yeah, so
and
makes
it's
sense.
such a small little drop in the bucket.
Right.
But that is one thing that I was risking early on, not knowing where that would lead, and I just took the risk and it worked out. I know there are a lot of people that don't take those risks, and they will never know.
Right. And so you're good with your hands in jewelry, but and I know people are after they watch the show, they're going to go to your Instagram page. But you're also I don't know if the term's a handy woman, like a.
I'm such a handy woman. I'm a Renaissance woman.
Renaissance woman. You and your husband have you're in the process. You've been doing a bunch, redoing. Is it like an old farmhouse?
So
I
bought, I would say, back in 20. I don't know.
A little while ago.
Yeah, a long time ago. Before I met Dan, I had bought a house, and it was the only house I looked at. I said, this house has good energy and it's going to heal me.
Right.
That's all I knew is it was going to be a project, but it was.
And when it was built, like in the.
It was built in the 80s.
Okay.
The 80s came with popcorn ceilings.
Yep.
All things kind of very tacky and like not high quality.
Yeah.
But the bones were good.
Right.
And so I ended up envisioning because I used to make jewelry out of my dining room. And
oh, that's right. I saw a couple of those videos.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And so it's super cool that now that dining room, I have now created a whole new studio with my own bare hands.
Yeah.
Well, and my husband.
Yeah, of course.
He kind of helped me, but
he might have helped a little. Right?
Just a little bit. But I ended up, you wouldn't know by my Instagram.
You can't see him on the show right now, people, but he's in the background right now just smiling. He's like, I love her.
He's like, I taught her everything.
Yeah, he's like, I love
let her
her.
take
Just
all
gonna No, but seriously, like, obviously we mentioned that he's in the military in Vermont and was active duty in the Coast Guard before.
Yeah.
But he deploys still.
He does.
And so there's times where it's you at the house and it's you and the camera and the kids.
Yeah.
And you're like, you know what? I am going to create this new countertop and I'm going to Google it. I'm going to search it. I'm going to figure it out. Like, tell me one of the projects.
It's amazing.
And I know there's a bunch of them.
There's so many of them, but I really, it's funny when I met Dan, my pool pump, because I was left with this house. My ex left, and I was left with this house that had all kinds of repairs that I didn't know how to do.
You married the pool guy?
No. I married somebody, and he left.
Yeah. No, I was talking about your new husband, Dan. No. Yes.
My pool pump,
the lucky one.
My pool pump broke, and I remember thinking, I don't even know how to run a lawnmower. Like, how am I going to figure this out? And I remember my mom saying, Danielle, this is the best thing that could happen to you. Figure it out. Figure it out.
It sounds like something your mom would say.
I know. And I'm like, okay, Mom.
I love it. I love it.
Whatever. But I ended up looking it up. I mean, you can find out anything on YouTube now.
Yeah.
So I fixed my own pool pump. I started off fixing my own stuff.
Right.
And then I remember meeting him.
But it's rewarding too, right?
It turned out like this isn't as hard as I had it in my head. And I think with a lot of women, the idea, and I don't know if this is something we've been conditioned to believe, but the idea is that things that we do with our hands, like using tools or fixing things, is a man's job.
Right. I think that's conditioning.
It's conditioning, but I'll tell you, it is so conditioned. I don't know what's happening because my daughter at 6 years old, when she sees me with a tool, she says, "You better ask Daddy about that." I'm like, "What? You should know by now. I know how
You're like,
to use
actually,
this."
it's mine.
Right, like, this is my tool.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Got my
What are you
own drill
talking
over
about?
here.
Well, Mommy, we know how to do this. We're women. We know how to do this.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that she even believes that.
And I think it's important to say, like, there's a lot of a lot of tasks that people assume it's a man does.
Right.
But you're doing these tasks, and you're, like I said, and I like to use the word powerful woman because that's how I envision you and what you're doing to empower other women. But I think it's important. There's certain jobs that a man and a woman shouldn't do if they're not qualified to do it.
Absolutely.
And going back to your guys' service company, your pressure washing company, power washing company, like, yeah, you can go rent a power washer, and I can go do that, and I can probably screw up the PSI on it and screw up the siding on my house, and now I've got to replace the siding or call a professional. And that's when you would call a professional, like your guys' company, right? But then there's other jobs you're like, geez, should I just try this? It's not gonna like I'm not replacing a fireplace here. I'm not burning my house down.
Right.
I can rebuild my countertops.
We can rebuild. I created one of my favorite DIYs.
And you do stuff at you try to do it like low cost.
It's always about when you are broke. And that's the thing. Like I try
You learn
to do
quick,
that.
right?
Yeah. You learn when you don't have money, you learn how to do things. Like I used to be able to still, like, no matter if I was broke or not, I would still try to make my house look nice.
Yeah. What was the
spray paint?
What was the was it a candle holder you try to do for under $20 with the
that was a Pottery Barn
knockoff
dupe, a little dupe. For I said I'm going to bet my husband that I can make this. I saw it in a magazine on their online store,
right?
And I said, boy, this is $99. I think I could make that. And
you just made up a number like I bet I can make it for under $20.
Under 10. I said 10. That's pretty low considering the cost of lumber. Like what was I thinking? But I did. I came in under $10.
Under $10.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And so then what did he owe you? A bottle of wine that cost more than $10.
Yeah, exactly.
We swear on the show, but we're not X-rated, so we won't say what else he owed you.
Yeah, because I was going to say, do you really want to know?
So where are we at right now with you? Obviously, the goal is for you to continue doing what you're doing and empower more people, right? That's what you're trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm only getting started with my journey because at this point, I just wrote a book. And it's supposed to be coming out in the next year, and that's for children.
Are we hoping it's going to come out in this calendar year? And we won't say a date. But
I really hope so. Although with publishing houses, it is the timeline is. Had I self-published, it would have already been out by now.
Right.
But I'm, at their mercy, I guess.
Yeah. It's all right though.
It's all right. So but anyway, this book I wrote for essentially it was for a map. A road map for my own kids to show them in symbolic terms how to get through any kind of adversity. And I wrote it based off of my own life, but it's something a child would understand,
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you're also blogging.
Yeah. So after I had such great responses on Instagram from all of my renovations. My Instagram was always supposed to be about jewelry, and it has transformed into what people want to see, which is the renovations. Apparently that's what everybody wants, and actually
and you like doing it.
I love it, and that I guess that's why they call me the Renaissance woman, is because I'm kind of torn. Like I love so many different creative things. I mean, every day I wake up and it's something new, but that's what I love. I mean, I love doing something new every day. I can't be contained into one thing. On Instagram, they say, pick a niche, pick a niche. And then I can't. I got to do what I want to do.
So when you're remodeling the house, and again, I know we're going to put your Instagram and all your tags in there. Yeah. People are going to go in there and be completely amazed because it's super cool watching you. It's cool watching you both do it, and it's cool watching you do it, and it's cool when I see your child like just, I guess, holding a tool. It's very neat. Yeah. Is there something in there where you're doing that? It's also making you creative with your jewelry.
Absolutely.
It's all like
everything
interwoven.
Yeah. I see everything as creativity from the moment you get up. I the way you dress, everything I feel is creative.
Yeah.
I never felt that before when I was working at the attorney's office.
Yeah. Because let's face it, that's not a creative job.
It's not. Actually, I spent most of the day shopping. I was like, oh, let's see how much I can get done in 1 hour. And then we'd leave. And it was very, actually quite boring.
Yeah.
And I realized.
Unproductive.
Yeah. And I just wasn't, inspired.
Yeah.
And now it's like every day I get to be inspired by something else. Everything inspires me. The hotel I'm staying in right now, I'm just like inspired by everything. Oh, that looks like something I could make an earring.
And for the record, she's staying at the Carmichael in Carmel, Indiana. It's a beautiful hotel.
So gorgeous.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm glad you like it.
Yeah.
They put a lot of work and a lot of thought into everything.
Yeah. And
the more you look at your room, you'll see, and not every room's the same. That's the whole thing with that room. That hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah. The former mayor, Jim Brainerd of Carmel, who helped develop this city over like 28 years, all the roundabouts, and you've seen the walkways. It's absolutely beautiful.
So gorgeous.
Yeah, they put a lot of thought and effort into it, and they did it. I would say the city wasn't ready for it. And then when it was built, people didn't understand it. But as the city continued to develop, they're like, yeah, this is, we needed this.
Yeah. I mean, it's beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. I'm so happy that I've come here. It's so nice. Yeah.
So the book comes out. So you're doing a book through a publisher.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. And then are you going to do a book about your life story?
I am. I'm actually simultaneously writing that.
Right.
And that's.
Are you working with a co-author or a ghostwriter, or are you doing it?
I'm not. I'm doing it myself.
Okay.
And the first book that I wrote, it was a children's book, and that one I wrote, that was an interesting story because I was supposed to go to the Taylor Swift concert with my sister and my nieces, and you know how expensive those tickets were. Well, right. I was like,
right, Justin.
I scored.
Look at his face. He's like, they're so expensive.
Too much.
Look at you.
Too much.
Nikki Glaser just said she spent $20,000 on those tickets.
$20,000.
She probably could have gotten in for free, but she still paid $20,000.
Isn't it nuts?
Yeah.
Boy.
And you know, whether you're a lover or a hater of her, haters are gonna hate. We keep saying that. She gives so much back.
Amazing.
I've heard so many cool stories about when she goes into a city, it actually changes the economic value in the city because all the draw that she has, and then the money that she gives back to the city or charities that people don't even know about. And I know some people are gonna hit me up like, "Oh, you're a Swiftie." And I'm like, "Whatever." You know what?
No, I am.
Don't care.
And by the way, Taylor Swift, she is inspiring to me. I love seeing women.
You're gonna get your jewelry on her.
I said that in my last article. I said, "Okay, Taylor Swift, hello, call me."
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, but even still, like she's so inspiring to me.
Yeah.
Just seeing somebody that just create. I mean, and that's what I say. What she's doing is really not anything other than her doing what she loves every single day. And doing it.
And she's got haters.
And she has haters. And no matter what anybody says, that's how she has learned how to cope. And that is exactly what I do. I've learned to cope now when I didn't have any coping mechanism. Back when I was 15, I rebelled. I wasn't, my best self. I didn't know how to cope. I didn't have those coping skills.
But when you say you weren't your best self, and I want to make sure I clarify this for people, you weren't your best self because you weren't yourself. You didn't know what you were because you were being. I'm going to say traumatized. There's probably a harsher word, but you're being traumatized. You're being taken advantage of. You were not being listened to.
Yeah.
So you're being pushed into a corner.
I was.
And you know that now as a beautiful, strong, powerful woman.
Yeah.
And that's your message to all the young girls out there. And listen, I say young girls, young boys too, right?
Young boys,
young everyone,
even adult,
even
women.
it happens. It happens.
Yeah.
But when you're out there. You've already, as you said, you've walked the walk.
Yeah.
And now you're just like, you know what? I'm giving back, and I'm gonna keep moving forward.
But also, I don't want anybody else to feel as alone as I felt
when
you felt. Nobody was helping me.
Yeah.
People, grown adults, who allowed me to go through that. I mean, to the point where they allowed me to graduate when I was skipping school every day, knowing why I was skipping school, refusing to fire him. And then I'm skipping school, and then they call me in for a meeting, and I tell them exactly why I'm skipping school. And you know what I'm saying? And then they end up just graduating me, moving him on to another school. So guess what? Nothing ever happened to this man. And that's
the disturbing fucking part. That's
like,
what the disturbing part is. And especially I can see your husband, that behind the scenes, the frustration
frustrating.
the willpower and control you have to have not to just be like, I
actually contacted him not too long ago when I was drinking a little wine. But I'll tell you, it re-traumatized me. I contacted him just to say how much he has ruined my life. He knows who I am.
Tried to ruin your life.
Tried to.
Yes.
But, he deserves to know what he had done.
And he
knows.
This fool knows.
How do you know?
This fool
How do you
knows.
not know?
This fool knows.
And the crazy part about that era, that happened, and I won't say what era, but I've had people come up and say, oh, that happened to me too. He tried to hit on me too, but I just told him this. Well, good for you that you had that wherewithal.
It's unacceptable.
Yeah, why do I have to
Yeah, it's your fault because you didn't tell him not to, and
that's how conditioned these women are, though.
Yeah.
Some of these women that they're just like, oh, he did that to me too. I just said this. Well, I didn't have that strength. I didn't know what to do, and I told who I thought would help me, and they didn't do anything. And because it affected me differently than say her or the other person, I guess it was my fault.
Yeah.
And so that's what it's always that kind of reoccurring theme. With women, and I don't know if it's meant to. I don't know, but I know women have that kind of. It's almost like are you competing with me about who dealt with this better? Like, stop.
Yeah, just
like,
stop.
We're both, like, it shouldn't happen to you or me.
Yeah, we should be working together.
Correct.
Yeah, actually, you know what? The more I think about it, this guy doesn't even deserve the airtime that we're even talking about him. Mm-hmm. Except that people should know that there's people out there that are doing this to individuals, young women or young children, and they're putting them in a vulnerable position. And so when some child comes out and says, this is happening to me, if they have the strength to do that, then we should listen.
Absolutely.
And other than that, that guy can go fuck himself.
Absolutely.
Moving on.
Bye-bye. Yeah.
Moving on. Cover of magazines, author, jewelry maker. I mean, who are we kidding, right?
I don't know. I feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like I've really, owned my stuff. I worked GSD. I work every single day.
Yeah.
And work really hard. And I get a lot of, sometimes I get hate over like, oh, well, nobody deserves a house, to spend all that money, blah, blah, blah. And you're a lot of people will say you're bragging. I get that a lot.
Oh, because you're confident?
Yeah.
Yeah. Haters motivate.
Haters motivate. And but at first when I wasn't 100% like sure about what how I was supposed to go about the social media, I was like, don't men promote their stuff all the time? Like, why are they never told they're bragging? Why is it always the woman? Like,
or are they, and they're just not telling anyone, and they're just like,
I don't know. I just think it's a different perception sometimes for
I
women.
agree.
Like, you're bragging, but men, go for it. Yay,
but I also think, and I could be wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm definitely not an expert on this. And the furthest I've been to medical school is watching a show on TV, like General Hospital. But was that one of yours?
No, Young and Restless.
Young and Restless. Oh, close. I got my PhD in Young and Restless.
I love it.
Geez, I even lost my train of thought with that one. No, but I feel like women, and this is going to be a statement. Someone's going to hate on me, but like, women don't support women. Women knock other women down.
It's so bad.
Like, you're doing a really good job, and I'm not your neighbor really, but like, quote unquote, your neighbor's over there going, look at her.
Oh, isn't it awful?
And you're like, dude, why aren't you like, why don't you work with me? And why don't we elevate each other?
Exactly. And that is what I try to do every day.
Yeah.
And it is so interesting because when I first started, I was on Facebook, and I'm noticing Facebook is much different than Instagram.
Yeah,
Instagram.
It's like it's a different crowd, but for some reason it's our same fans or our friends.
Isn't
like,
it bizarre?
It's bizarro world.
It's like nobody supports you on Facebook because they know you in person, but they'll support you on Instagram.
Yeah.
And all these other women, like, I feel like Instagram is more like today. It's more modern.
And here's the other thing: don't support me when I'm already fucking on top.
I know.
Right?
I hate that.
You weren't there when you weren't there when I needed you, and now you're like, oh, great job. Love you to make me a piece of jewelry. Fuck off.
100%.
100%.
I have actually, I was telling my husband earlier, I feel like
your amazing husband is what you meant to say.
My amazing husband.
There we go. Just
I have told him creating this whole businesses has been as much about building myself up. It's like recreating myself.
You're building a brand, but
Yeah.
you're also building basically a lifestyle for people to understand and be motivated to do.
Right. Yeah. And it is very much about me. It's not like, oh, I have jewelry, buy my jewelry. It's almost like I feel like sometimes people buy my jewelry because of me. Because
100%.
they want to connect with me.
100%.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a big takeaway for anybody who is wanting to brand themselves. I think a lot of it is beyond, when you're promoting. I tell this to a lot of the girls I mentor. It's like sometimes people don't buy from you because it's, oh, great piece of jewelry. They buy from you because they want to support you. Who are you? Let's talk about you.
This is so interesting you say this. So
Yeah.
we always have the pictures of our guests that are coming on the show. We get their
Right.
bios, and we talk to other people. Like we're doing a show. We were in Las Vegas. We were in Hollywood, in California, and then we were like, oh, this person's going to be on the show. This person's going to be on the show, and they're like, oh, I know that person. Or I don't know that person. And I was showing your cover of the magazine to a couple female people that I know, ladies. Yeah. And I said, I got this awesome human coming in from Vermont. She's going to be on the show. And 2 out of 3 women looked at it, and 2 of the women said to me like, oh, no wonder you want her on the show because she's beautiful. Okay. So here's the truth.
Yeah.
Yes, she's beautiful. And 2, that is not a reason why we want her to show.
Yeah.
Maybe instead of saying that, you should say, that's awesome that she's going to be on your show.
Yeah.
What does she do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why didn't that come out?
Exactly.
But again, 2 out of 3. The other girl, the other woman, the first thing she said was, she immediately looked you up on Instagram, and she's like, oh my goodness, she's like building a house. I was like, she's remodeling. Like I was explaining more stuff, and she was so like almost like without even knowing and doing really homework, you were making her feel good.
Yeah.
But then the other 2 people were like, oh, she's going to be on the show because she's beautiful.
And they feel bad. And it's like,
and
it's like, you know what? It's not. And that's where I've had to rebuild myself, because a lot, just from my past experience, I've had to realize a lot of that is just projection. It's not me.
No,
right? It's not me.
It's they can't look in the mirror and feel good about themselves. Right. So they need to portray that on someone else.
Push that
person down.
Yeah.
Because that makes them feel good. When the truth, it doesn't make them feel good.
It does.
They feel shitty.
They feel shitty, and they'll feel shittier until they continue, until they actually find something that makes them feel good on their own.
Until they hit rock bottom.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I've been there, and that's, I actually, look at those ladies with empathy now, and I look at the haters with empathy. I used to feel really bad about myself and let it affect me. I'm like, I actually pray for them now, and I'm like, you know what? I hope you find the light, because it must be very sad for you to live in a world where your whole existence is like being on a computer and talking bad about people. Like, what kind of existence is that? And
it's interesting because you have like over almost 50,000 followers or subscribers on Instagram. And one of my friends who's like, he's really good on, Instagram and all that stuff. And he was looking and he goes, you know what I've noticed that's really cool about your next guest? Yeah. And I was like, what? He goes, she's got all real followers. She didn't buy her followers. Yeah. Because you can go in there and I guess dig around. I don't know how they do it.
Can.
And I was like, because a lot of people buy, like on Instagram, like I have about 11,000 followers. So it's a lot of people.
Which is awesome.
But you got like 50,000. But you see people with like 200,000-300,000, and some of those people really have 200,000 or 300,000 real followers. Right. But then some of them had just bought them, and they're not really doing any good. Meaning they're not doing any good out there in the public. Right. Yeah.
Not at all. Yeah. They're just, hi, I'm great because I have this many followers. Yeah. I want friends. Like I want real connection.
Yeah. You want someone that's buying your jewelry, or someone who's redoing something in their house because they watched one of your videos, to shoot you a message and say, you inspired me, or
literally,
you helped my daughter life. And I build a candle holder.
Yeah. And like that, that to me, like, my husband will tell you, like we
might need to get him on the show.
We do. He's amazing, because as a man, like, how amazing is it that he just sits back and like allows, not a lot of men, I have to say, would be confident enough to have me out there. Yeah. You know what I mean? And he's the one.
And you almost just slipped up.
I did.
I
probably did.
No, you almost just slipped up, because you almost said he allows me.
True.
And it's not that he allows you. You guys are partners, right? Yeah. He supports you. You don't need his permission, but man, it helps, right? If you work together.
Right. And I'm absolutely speaking from experience.
Absolutely.
Of past relationships.
100%.
I felt like stifled.
Yeah.
I can't shine. I can't do anything, to make myself look good, because I'm too busy boosting his ego, and you know how it is. I think a lot of women can relate to that. And for him to want to lift me up is so amazing. And I say often to women, like, if you don't have a man that's going to support you, you just don't. If you are a strong woman, you want
just
to
be a strong
woman alone until you find somebody who's gonna be equal.
Yeah, because I feel like there's so many women out there that have so much skills and talent and the same drive that you have.
Yeah.
But their partner is pushing them down, and so they can never release that empowerment to other people.
And
they don't and the unfortunate part, and that's why I love what you're doing, because the unfortunate part is they don't realize that they can. They have that opportunity. They just gotta figure out how to go through that door when the door opens.
Absolutely.
Yeah. When doors open, when people say, "Oh, she's so lucky, she got her," no, you know what? I'm not lucky. I worked my ass for it. I GSD'd to make it happen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. People say, "Oh, you went on vacation with your wife. Must be nice." Fuck you. It must be nice. I worked my ass off so I can go on vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I deserve it because I work every single day.
Yeah. Well, you've earned it.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't like when people say you deserve
You're
stuff.
true. You're true.
Earned
Nobody.
it.
Oh, did
right.
I say deserve it?
I said that.
Did.
I think I did too.
I think
Justin's the grammar.
You know what? You're
Jesse's
right.
the grammar
You are
guy
100%.
too, though. He always
I
corrects
agree.
me.
No, but I agree.
100%.
Nobody really deserves any of it.
Yeah, you just yeah.
Does anybody deserve any of it?
You earned it. You earned it.
I did.
You earned
I
it.
earned it. I mean,
Yeah.
I work.
That's
going to
be a reel. We're going to get that cut in. They're going to say she said deserve. Justin corrected, and then he corrected my THE.
You're right.
The T. Non-speller. You said you're not good in math. I'm really good in math, but I'm not a good speller.
Are you good in math?
Yeah, I'm really good in math.
Try doing renovations, not being good in math.
Can't imagine.
No.
I can't imagine. No. But again, I've watched some of your videos, and I was like, she knows what she's doing.
I eyeball everything. My husband will pull
He's shaking his head. He goes, she does.
No, I do, because I'll say, hang up this picture. No, let me do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to eyeball it. Yeah. And I swear my eye is just as good as a ruler.
Yeah. Measuring tape.
Tape measuring ruler. It's called a measuring tape.
It's called a measuring tape.
Well, I don't know the actual word, but
yeah, that's awesome.
I'm still learning a lot of it, but it talk about empowering. I mean, I have a man that is teaching me. A lot of men will be like, let me do it. Step aside. I'll do it. But he has taught me everything I know about using power tools. I really didn't know. I didn't know how to.
Because let's face it, they can be very dangerous.
They can.
If you don't know what you're doing.
For sure.
If you take a couple classes, or you have someone that's been around them their whole life, and they show you, because they understand the partnership.
Yeah.
Right. You want to learn it.
Yeah.
And he's willing to teach you, as opposed to you wanting to learn. He's like, yeah, it's not your job. Get back in the kitchen, barefoot, pregnant.
But a lot of men are like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of men on Instagram, a lot of people will comment that type of stuff. Like, just go where you belong in the kitchen. I mean, there's still men.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
That's fucking wild.
Insane amount of comments like that. Men are funny. Yeah. They do not want to see women doing quote unquote
a man's job.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's something like they've always wanted to make it seem more complex than it really is, because it's really not that difficult. Yeah.
So one of my friends that's a member of the VFW, he's a Army veteran, and his daughter is a mechanic, and I'm gonna guess. I love that. I'm gonna guess she's about 23 years old. I'm probably wrong. He listens to the show, and his name is Phil. I don't want to name his daughter or the race team she works on.
Is she the motorcycle girl?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's badass. So she actually, and I say 23 years old, Phil's listening, and he's going to be like, she's 25 or 21. I don't know how old she is, but she ended up working in a we'll say your traditional mechanic garage. Right. And she's so good at what she does. She now works for one of the top racing teams, the Indy 500, like the racing teams. And again, I don't want to call her out, because I don't know if we're supposed to be talking about her race team that she's working on, but she's legit like on a race team, mechanic, female, badass.
Love it.
And got hired with like flying colors. They're like, yeah, we don't care if you're a man or a woman. You're awesome at what you do. Exactly. And that's a perfect example of like GSDing at the highest level.
Yeah.
I'm going to race her on your Ducati.
She's going to blow you away, dude.
She'll smoke me.
She's going to smoke you. I don't know. The Ducati's fast, but I think her skills will outbeat you. You're going to have your Harley skills on my Ducati, and she's just going to burn. I feel like she has a Ducati Monster.
Yeah, she does.
I think she does. Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, and she used to volunteer at the VFW. She would come in early in the morning and do breakfasts with us, and now she works all the time, like little because it's race season, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're getting low on time here. I want to make sure we touched
sure.
on it. No, don't be sorry at all. We're going to go have drinks after this.
All right.
Is there anything you'd like to touch on, a message to the audience, or something that we might have missed?
Oh gosh.
I'm like putting you on the spot.
So much.
Yeah. So we missed so much.
I feel.
We missed so much.
No, I don't know.
Oh, I was like, oh my God, let's
No, there's just
tell
so
me
much.
more.
I have a lot.
Tell me more then. Just
No,
go.
no.
Did you design your own engagement ring or wedding ring?
You know what's funny about this? No. My husband and I picked this out. I had forgotten that I had a partnership with at that point, I didn't really think much of it because I was still doing kind of handmade stuff.
Right.
I forgot that I had a partnership with Stoller, which is this huge company that provides diamonds to every other jeweler in America. And so he bought it retail, could have gotten it 50% less, but through me, had I thought of it, but no.
And he's face red over there. He's like, I know.
Yeah. Or I could have gotten a much bigger diamond.
But you don't need a bigger diamond. It's beautiful.
No, I love it.
Yeah. So the goal is book comes out this year. That's the goal.
The goal is my book comes out. Yeah.
Yeah, the book comes out this year.
So, yeah. They're working on illustrations right now.
Yep. And you'll be doing more interviews and podcasts.
More interviews.
Kicking ass on Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think it's really growing. I think my message to women is growing. I think people are, realizing the message finally. It's like, you know what? Every woman has the power, or anybody, man, woman, anyone, has the power to change their life at any point. You can pivot. You can say, you know what? This isn't working for me. I'm gonna do something else. But you have to put the work in. I mean, you really do. And I feel like that's what I've done. I've really put the work in, and to understand my patterns. I think breaking patterns in my life was key to not repeating them. And I remember my mom, back to my mom, my mom. Yeah. She said,
you have awesome parents.
I do. And they're super open. They were remember, they were very open and loving, and but my mom would always say, Danielle, you're always going to make the same mistake over and over until you get it right. So it'll keep repeating. So I'm like, okay. So I try to recognize, am I doing a pattern from the past? And I'm not blaming myself if I have a pattern of behavior that I learned to survive back in the day. But I've learned to now put it into a craft. And that's really what I do. It's when I do these crafts, it's not so much as, I want to show everybody what I can do. It's a coping skill. It's how I've learned how to cope with my past, but I'm also making a living out of it. And so what I try to tell people is, if they want to start a business, okay, well, first do something that you know. Like, what do you know? Do you know clothing? Start with that. That's how I started. And so I try to guide my mentees and say, start with what you know, and then go with what you love. I mean, I love and do more of that. So when I love creating. So every day I'll just create for me, really. And then it's like, but I'm also making money, and it's just like such a win-win, but it's a
win-win.
Yeah. But I'm able to give back, and I'm giving it back to, and becoming the woman that I had, that I feel like saved me.
Right.
Pay it forward, woman.
And you give to charities. We mentioned that. And I want to reiterate that you give to local charities in Vermont as well as national charities.
I actually started my whole, before I even started making jewelry, I started, and I tell this to my mentees also, is I started, because I was so in my head about my past, I ended up volunteering with a local nun. And we would, boots on the ground, go out and start serving. Like, she would get Starbucks, day old pastries.
Yeah.
And we'd get platters, and we'd give them to the homeless people on the streets.
Yeah.
And it was amazing because we wouldn't just give it to them. We would find out their story.
Yeah.
And everybody would have a story.
Everyone's got a story.
Everybody has a life beyond what got them there. They had a life.
Yeah.
Something happened. And it's usually trauma of some sort. And it gets you out of your own crap.
Yeah.
It gets you out of your own head and what happened to you. And then you say, you know what happened to me? I mean, there's so much more that I could be doing for other people. And that's kind of what started the whole thing too.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we have a little.
Hang on, wait. Just
whoa.
as an experiment,
Uh-huh.
if you're willing.
Sure.
I don't know. I mean,
As a social experiment, are you willing to talk about and describe this woman at the grocery store and just see if
Yeah.
Oh, like what she looks like?
my
what
goodness.
town it was, what
Yes.
year it was,
Was it
what
in-
grocery store it was, and
Oh,
see
gosh.
if someone out there can find this woman. Because I
I
bet you
love
she
that.
did it for more than just you.
Do you think so?
Yeah, she had to.
I bet she did.
So it's so funny. In my head, I think it's like an angel. Like,
No, it is, but
yeah.
but you know, an angel doesn't just help one person, right?
True.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she
we're trying this. Here we go.
She was probably mid 40s, sandy, blonde, probably.
And what year was this ish?
Oh gosh,
10 years ago, right?
2008.
And what part of the country?
This was in Burlington, Vermont, North End, Burlington.
North End.
Yes,
Okay.
the North End Burlington store. It was like a little convenience store, grocery
Yeah.
store on the corner, and I don't even know if it's there anymore. But
That's fine.
okay. But it was in the old North End.
Yeah, the old North End. People in Burlington know
They
exactly what
know.
you're talking about.
It was like an orange building,
Yeah.
kind of convenience store, and she had mid-length. She was probably in her mid 40s.
How tall about?
Taller than me.
Taller
so
than
she
you.
was probably about 5'10", 5'11".
Okay, thin, little.
Thin.
Okay, thin.
Yeah, thin and like sandy brown hair, like blondish brown. Like
Okay.
yeah.
Did
So-
she have kids with her? Or
No,
anything?
by herself, completely by herself.
You know.
Yeah,
I-
and what was so cool about it, and you hear these quotes, like queens will, women, true women or whatever, will lift another woman, or they'll tell somebody I don't know what the quote is.
Yeah. No, I'm tracking.
The crown,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
fix their crown without telling the world is crooked type
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
What was so cool about it was I was humiliated about my card declining, and she pulled me inside in such a cool way and like didn't make it like it's about her.
Yeah, she just did it.
She whispered to me, and it was so profound because I really didn't see her facial features. I saw
Yeah, because
her hair,
you're in like this
and I'm in this humiliated state, and
blurry
I'm like,
world.
Yeah.
Like a blurry world.
yeah, and that was crazy. But that's what I loved was it wasn't about her. It was literally about this message.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this, but I want you to pay it forward. And it felt like,
So
like,
the
I have
social
to do
experiment,
this.
we have
Yeah.
a description, but unfortunately, Justin, if you knew this area, there's several colleges there, and it's a very good possibility
Yeah.
that this is a lady from another state that was visiting her college student,
possibly.
and it was probably thinking, this could be my daughter one day.
Yeah. Yeah,
Think about that.
probably.
Right? Who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah.
But we're going to try to find her.
It's pretty cool though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's
if
super
we
cool.
could, I'm shocked I haven't found her yet. But
Okay,
yeah.
so I have a gift for you.
Oh, cool.
I've got a T-shirt for you, but before I give this to you, and we have some other stuff, and we have from Good Dudes Coffee, one of our sponsors. We've got some coffee for you. But before we give you this, earlier when we were chatting, your husband mentioned that he likes Yellowstone. So Justin might have some connections from the set of Yellowstone
What?
from the show.
Stop.
So he's got you a hat and a Yellowstone
You're kidding.
mug. So we'll just put that here, and then after we shut down the cameras, you can come grab those.
I also
But-
like Yellowstone.
Well, you are out of luck. Justin's a good dude, and he always has a connection.
That's
Somehow, whenever
awesome.
someone brings something up, I'm like,
So cool.
So when he showed back up at the studio today, and he was like, I've got these for.
Wow.
I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And of course for you, and we got some other stuff for you, but this is a everyday GSD tank.
love
And then
it.
we're gonna take some pictures after with it, and yes, so. Awesome having you on the show. So glad we got to
Thanks.
reconnect.
I know.
And I'm so glad I got to meet you. And obviously, it's crazy. Both of us have some mutual friends from our military past. But pleasure meeting you. I'm looking forward to hanging out with you guys while you stay in town.
Absolutely.
Again, thanks so much for traveling into town. I'll hand this over to you.
Love it. Thank you so much.
But it's truly, it's an honor to have you on the show. And I'm so excited to watch you continue to grow. And most importantly, continue to help women be empowered. Because you're awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching the Everyday GSD podcast. Episodes come out on the 1st and 15th of the month. If you want to watch people or listen to people that Everyday GSD, please download and subscribe wherever you listen or watch the Everyday GSD podcast. Everyday GSD.